What's up? This will be my first time playing through Pokemon Soul Silver. I'm excited to hardcore Nuzlocke it. We'll be using all the typical rules. This includes no items in battle. If a Pokemon hits 0 HP, it faints. If we lose a battle, we restart the whole run. We'll also be playing on set mode. And the last one coming to mind being one Pokemon per route. We'll be going with Cyndaquil this run. Typically, I like to pre-look at all the gym leaders to see who I'm going to be going up against to see who's the best. Personally, I've always gone with the water types though. So like for instance, I was always a Squirtle, Samurott, Greninja, Totodile. I'm a big fan of the water types in general, but it has seemed in the past few runs that I've done of any Nuzlocke that the fire type is typically the way to go. This goes for like Chimchar, Tepig, Cyndaquil right now, though this is less of a concrete case, I believe. This game has a lot of different types, considering it has 16 gyms and then the Elite Four and Champion. And that's actually something I'm quite excited for with this run, is that we'll be seeing a lot of different typings, so I don't feel locked into using, for instance, the starter a lot. I haven't really gotten to experience Gen 4 outside of Platinum when I was a child, pretty much. The physical special split being added to Gen 4 is also a big change. I just came off of playing Fire Red, and that game was, I don't want to say miserable, but personally, it not having the physical special split definitely knocked the game down a few tiers in my book. You'll notice here that I went from speaking to Elm to then past the point where I spoke to Oak, and now I'm fighting my rival for the first time. This is simply because there's a lot of backtracking in Pokemon or things that aren't interesting. We're all here for the gameplay pretty much. Anything that's Nuzlocke related I'll talk about, but then if there is anything story related or maybe team related later in the game that I want to address, I'll bring it up. But for the most part, this will mostly just be a gameplay video. Unfortunately for you all right now, this is pretty much spam A simulator. Just gotta get through this beginning part so I can actually start playing the game. Though the early game of Pokemon is slow, I do enjoy the simple fights to start off with. This is also probably a good point to bring up one of the other changes that I'm making. This has been a recent trend in Pokemon Nuzlocking, but using rare candies is far more efficient, and I will be doing that, especially because I'm playing on an emulator. I don't really want to deal with grinding Pokemon. I've done it with Sword, and I've done it with Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, though I have not completed the Nuzlocke on BDSP. I just personally don't enjoy grinding levels all day, and I like to make my playthroughs about the strategy of it all. So, with that in mind, I'm going to be using rare candies to level up, and for the record, I will be using the level cap of the highest Pokemon on the Gym Leaders team that I'm going to be fighting. And we finally have some Pokeballs here to use. Excited to get our first encounter. I believe the first couple encounters can be Weedle, Pidgey, or Metapod, something like that. So we got Pidgey, and in terms of first area birds, it's not exactly my favorite. I grew up with Fletchling and Staraptor as my main Pokemon in the first area, which, in terms of first birds, they're pretty good, in my opinion. Pidgeotto is pretty cool, but he's not exactly my first pick. I will definitely take him in this run, though. It'll be nice to use one of the Kanto birds. Now you guys finally get to know what the nicknaming theme will be. I'm going to be doing anagrams, or rearranging the letters for different Pokemon's names into words. Now this is stolen from Pichal, which, very popular Nuzlocker, and I'm a big fan of him. So, not exactly surprising that I want to use this as my first run, but it works, and we'll definitely have to come up with one for Cyndaquil later. Now, the next couple clips are going to be of me catching my first encounters. We got this Weedle. I'm not exactly a big fan of bug Pokemon. Some people tend to like them, like Butterfree for instance, or some of the bulkier ones like Scyther, Heracross, or Pinsir. Personally, it's never been my jam. Some of them are cool, but it's far and few between for me. I will definitely take any Pokemon I can get, though. It's kind of the point of these Nuzlocks, is to try out new Pokemon that I've never really given the chance, such as Weedle. And now that that's caught, we'll name him Deweel, and move on to Route 46, where we'll get our next encounter. This encounter is going to be a Spiro, and this is the other Kanto bird that honestly I never gave a fair chance to. Pidgeotto was always the cooler one in my eyes, and so the very little bit of Kanto I did play, I just didn't really use them. And now that I'm a bit older and have played a bit more of the Pokemon games, he was sick in Fire Red, and I kind of see the hype around him. Continuing with our nickname theme, we'll name him Warfo. For the record, these nicknames can be any of the evolutions that these Pokemon have. Now, looking at this little trainer right here, this took me way too long to find. I'm simply an idiot. I didn't realize that there was a little gap right where that other trainer was. I thought he was standing on a lip, and so I just didn't know where to go. That's honestly why I went and backtracked and caught Pokemon for a minute first. Maybe I'm just a complete idiot, but I fall for that stuff way too easily. Now, this is going to be a good time to address the trainer situation. At the end of the day, not all of these trainers are going to be interesting. As you saw, I just skipped that one in terms of the video. I'll put all the good trainers in there, but there's a lot of filler trainers in this game, and most Pokemon games in general. I'll address it later, but there's the Bellsprout Tower, which is just battling all Bellsprouts, and I have a Fire Starter. There's no use in me wasting your time showing those fights. So I will try to focus on the battles that actually take strategy or that I find interesting to maximize the use of your time and my time. Speaking of wasting time, this Geodude was refusing to be caught. I don't know what it is with these games. Sometimes you just get really unlucky with Pokeballs, and if this is foreboding for anything later on, I'm scared. I don't know if this game really has any of the Pokemon that have Explode or Teleport or anything like that. Like I said, I'm mostly inexperienced with Gen 4. Now we're actually at the Bellsprout Tower, like I was telling you all about. This is such a nothing place that's simply here to grind XP. You just avoid all of the fights, pick up an item, and basically just need to battle this old man. Now that we're actually fighting the old man, I'm going to address the fact that my game's audio is probably running a bit faster than your guys's. This is just because double speed on emulators is nice, and I don't feel like walking around. This game is already slow simply because the running is slower than a lot of other games I've noticed. Even Fire Red seemed to be faster. So I decided to play it on double speed, and then in terms of these battles, again, these are mostly just clicking A. I have the type advantage, and so I'm just not going to make you sit through this. The audio might be a little higher pitched because it's going faster, but I figure this is better for all of us. Now we're finally at Faulkner, the first gym leader. We're just going to lead Geodude. Type effectiveness, mash A. Pretty much just going to lead him and then go Rock Throw 1, defeat the Pidgey, Rock Throw 2 on the Pidgeotto. It's then just going to roost, and this is just going to be the cycle until I inevitably kill it. Rock Throw 1, Rock Throw 2, and then the third to finally finish it off, and I took 9 points of damage, rather. We're going to then be in the tunnels of the ruins to then just get our unknown encounter. Should have used this as the egg encounter that we got that I didn't show. We're going to catch that and name it None Out, and then move on to our next encounter. This is a pretty good one. Bellsprout, Weeping Bell. Grass types in general, I prefer. They're pretty type diverse. They can handle a lot of stuff. This is not my professional opinion. This is a biased opinion, but that's fine, I guess. I feel similarly to this Pokemon as I did Pidgeotto, where in terms of grass types, I prefer far different Pokemon, but hey, that's why we're here, using different Pokemon. Now moving on to this cave encounter, we're going to get a Zubat. Now Zubat, and more specifically Crobat, is one of, if not my favorite Pokemon of all time. I used to think he was just really cool, and then I eventually got into Nuzlocking, and then realized what a great pivot Zubat is, and more specifically Crobat. It resists quite a lot, very effective when it comes to damaging certain Pokemon, and it has U-turn, which is an amazing move. And it's super fast, which inevitably puts it in its own category of Pokemon that can act as like this pivot chain. And now we're finally in the cave. Ironically, I did not know that Team Rocket was going to be the team for this game. Now, my only experience with Team Rocket is Fire Red, where we faced Giovanni, and in my opinion, very lackluster team. People seem to think that they're an amazing team just simply because of like nostalgia. I'm not the biggest fan, but I was interested to see them come back, and you'll see in a moment that we're going to face one of their leaders. Personally, I'm a big fan when there's the execs in the evil teams. It just gives more personality to them, and I think that's really what Fire Red was missing. And I don't really have any experience with Red or Blue, but I'm assuming that they were missing is that the only real person in the organization is Giovanni, and you don't really deal with too much of the other people as part of it. Now, in Fire Red, you do have like Surge and Sabrina, I believe, and one other that's evil, but that's more so like subtext and not really part of the story. So seeing that this game is going to have some actual executives that I can consistently fight and plan teams around is going to be more fun. This next part, I'm just mostly going to skip over the gym. We just head back to town and then immediately get access. All of the fights, again, bug type, fire starter, pretty much straightforward. There's never any risk. So it's just going to smash cut to us facing the gym leader. Now, Bugsy is going to be the first real challenge of this game, mainly because he leads off with his level 17 Scyther, which I was not expecting. I had even checked the documentation just to make sure what his team would be, and I assumed that it would just be level order. He decided to go with his level 17 Scyther first, and then Focus Energy, which ups crit rate if you don't know that. And I hit him for half health. Now, him plus a berry, this is not looking good. He could very easily make things go awry, and he immediately does. Now, I don't think that was a crit, but it definitely could have been, and that could have been the loss of Arfiro. That would have sucked. So, this happened. He has quick attack. I have no chance to get something in before him, so I decided to go Quilava. Now, Super Potion gives us the easy switch in. Hopefully Ember can pick up the slack where Arfiro left off. Ember's not doing a lot right now. This was a really scary position to be in. And our Quilava survived on 2 health. So scary. I'm not sure if that was a range, but if it was, thank goodness. I probably would have reset the run right off rip if we had lost Quilava that early. And as you saw, that was a crit from the Quilava on the Scyther, which made it even crazier. So not only did it survive the crit, but then it crit it back to win. If it hadn't, we'd be in a rough position. Luckily, we had 6 Pokemon and 2 flying types. Might have needed a sacrifice if that hadn't worked out that way, but luckily, the end of this battle is right here. We just gotta gust this a couple times, and that's it. Now that we have our first 2 badges, I'll most likely end off this episode and then 2 badges every episode. So for now, I'll see you all later. Bye.